Well, hello, gang. How you doing today? I hope that everything's going well for you. We are having our lesson. This is actually our last lesson of the year that we'll be having on the subject of Abraham, and then we'll pick it back up in January with Abraham again. But we are meeting this week at Faith East on December 7th for our lesson, and then next week we'll be meeting at Faith West for our lesson, and so that means then we'll have off at Faith East December 14th and 21st because of the holiday season and the Christmas musical and those sorts of things. And then we'll pick back up on December 28th church-wide with our lessons and ABFs again. So this week's lesson is about the actual birth of Isaac and then a couple of surrounding things that take place. So we're in Genesis chapter 21 and verses 1 through 7. Tell us about the birth of Isaac. Isaac's name actually means she laughs or he laughs. It means laughter, which is kind of ironic because that's exactly what Sarah did. And so we're talking about just Isaac's birth. It's really kind of an anticlimactic story, if you will. It basically just says in the text that he was born. Abraham circumcised him like he was supposed to. And Sarah marveled at the fact that they had a kid. So we start off with that, and then the verses 8 through 21 starts when Abraham decides to hold a celebration over the fact that his son is now weaned, and is celebrating that Isaac has been weaned, and Sarah happens to look up and see Ishmael mocking. And so tension begins already there with them, and she calls out to Abraham and tells him, look, get them out of here now. Abraham struggles with that. Obviously, that was his son. Abraham tells them to leave, gives them things to take on their journey. They leave. They get out and travel a while, and Hagar begins to be worried about what is going to happen. And then we see God show up and promise to take care of Ishmael, and that out of Ishmael would come a nation, and it would be a great nation, and that nation would come out, and so God took care of them. Then in the end of the chapter, verses 22 through 34, we actually see that Abimelech, who is the king there of the Philistines, happens to see Abraham and begins to recognize the fact that God is present in his life. And so as a result of that, Abimelech decides, I better make a treaty with Abraham because this guy's got God on his side, and I would like to have that too. So that's the decision that he makes. So how can we apply all this to our life? Well, here's the first thing. Abraham and Sarah finally see the promise of their descendants come true. God finally promised, God's promise finally came true. And so Abraham and Sarah celebrate in that. And what was their reaction to this? Well, we see Sarah talking about how she laughed at it and how anybody she would have told would laugh at it and how silly it was to think that this old couple was going to have a kid. Yet God still did it. So I'd like us to talk about with our groups a little bit about what are some of the ways that you've seen God work out his perfect plan in your life in a way that you totally could never have planned yourself. Like, how does that happen? And, you can be prepared maybe to have a personal illustration of something like that. I can think of countless times where I saw God work as a result of some really bad stuff, and it turned out to be great because God's plan is far superior to any plan I could have. The second question I want to focus on is the fact that there were these lasting problems that were the result of Abraham's lack of faith in sinning with Hagar and having Ishmael. And so just talking about how does our sin, even that we do now as teenagers, potentially affect the rest of our life? And how could it be a constant struggle in the plan that God has for us? And then the last question is just about the fact that Abimelech had the opportunity to watch Abraham, to observe Abraham, and to recognize that Abraham clearly had God with him. So how can we show that God is with us to those around us? Like, how do you do that? How do you go through your day in a way that clearly presents that God is working in your life to the person that's watching you? And so we want to talk about those questions. I hope you'll have a great discussion with your group. I hope you'll have a great Christmas season. I'm looking forward to our leaders' Christmas party on the 17th. And you'll be assigned what to bring to that, but I'm looking forward to seeing you, having a meal with you, just thanking you for the things that God is doing in our youth ministry. And thank you so much for your service. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.